Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cartoon Boom. This is a show where we wake up with a Saturday morning song, popped on the floor, the big gold sugar's hero, all your favorite cartoons, both old and new. I'm Joseph.
And I'm a flexible teenager. My name's Chris.
And this morning, we watched Stretch Armstrong and the Flex Fighters. I almost read it like Stretch Armstrong and the Flex Fighters. But they didn't ignore the Flex Fighters, the Flex Fighters as much in this as they did the Star Sheriffs.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't get left out as much. But Stretch is definitely front and center of the whole shebang. I mean, I guess as he should be. Well, I don't know. Like, it's not like he gets more screen time than the others in this. I don't think he really does.
And I think that's one of the pros to this is the Flex Fighters are actually important. The rest of the team, I get that his name needs to be the in the title because that's the franchise that it's based off of, very loosely.
He's the name recognition.
Exactly. Yeah. Like nobody knows the other people whose names I don't even remember.
Omnimass.
Omnimass and
Wingspan.
Wingspan, that's what it is. Yeah, it's not like Wingspan and the Star Sheriffs.
Who could just be Flying Squirrel Man. Because he has Flying Squirrel powers. That's it.
Flying Squirrel and Embiggener. Yeah.
Yeah. Miss Marvel as a man.
Yeah, basically. So who suggested this to us?
This was suggested by both Gamer Sly Ratchet and hghgbfblr. I think they just typed a bunch of random letters, to be honest.
I don't know if that's the same random letter typer that you read sometimes because it's indiscernible, so it could just be a bunch of random letter typers in a row. Or is it the same person?
I'm pretty sure this is the same. I think they've done it a few times, but I tried to pronounce it this time, and the best I can do is hghgbfblr. That's the best.
Phonetically, I guess it works.
That's the best I got for you.
It almost sounds like you're going sort of like Norwegian or like Viking in a way.
Just
throw a JORN in there and you're good.
There we go.
So the show Stretch Armstrong and the Flex Fighters aired from 2017 to 2018. Based on Stretch Armstrong toy line by Hasbro, actually originally Kenner, but then it moved over to Hasbro, and now it's under Hasbro, which is what the show, I guess who the show was pioneered by. It's a whole thing. Developed by Kevin Burke, Victor Cook, and Chris Doc Wyatt. Produced by Hasbro Studios and Digital E-Mation. This ran for 2 seasons, 24 episodes, and 1 special, originally on Netflix.
If you were gonna like have a nickname within your stage name, why wouldn't you just go by that name? Like, why Chris Doc Wyatt? Why wouldn't you just go Doc Wyatt?
Just be Doc Wyatt. Doc Wyatt does sound cool.
Because Chris Doc Wyatt just sounds goofy.
I guess it's like if I went by, I don't know, my nickname was like Fred or something.
Joseph Fred Lambert doesn't sound great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's better if you were just Fred Lambert.
But
like, it sounds much better.
Yes and no, but then like no one would recognize me as my actual name, and so as far as paperwork goes, or like my IMDb would be a nightmare because it'd be like, is this Fred Lambert or Joe Lambert, or is it the Joe Fred Lambert? I don't know.
I don't know, man. And is he really a doctor? Or does he call himself Doc?
I'm assuming not. I don't think actual doctors put DOC as their addition to their name.
That's true. If I was a doctor, though, I would do that just to mess with people. So, like, I'd still have the title doctor, but then I would also have Doc in my name somewhere. Dr. Doc.
When people question you, just point to your PhD, your doctorate.
Yeah, exactly. Just to mess with people a little bit.
But you've also circled DOC on your doctorate just so people can know where you're coming from.
Exactly.
So for a short synopsis of this show, an overscheduled teenager, I have a question real quick.
We didn't get very far, did we?
No, but I was curious about this. Is overscheduled the like PC replacement of overachiever?
Maybe. I mean, does that even need to be I feel like that's something that doesn't even need to be like changed, like called out that way. Like overachiever isn't like I don't know. That doesn't sound that negative to me.
It doesn't, but there is a different connotation to it because overscheduled makes it sound like it's not on you. You've just like taken on too much. Overachiever means that you're pushing for too much. So I guess like I can understand it to a degree, but I don't see any issue with it. I just have, because I've seen overscheduled twice today in reference to this character in different articles. And I'm like, why? What is that? I've never seen that before.
It's because his dad forces him to do all these things. He doesn't necessarily sign up to do all these things, you know?
Yeah, but he does have the attitude that he wants to keep pushing for these things. And even as a superhero, he's continuing wanting to do these school projects, which I would think would be below him at that point. But I don't know. I'm not an overscheduler like him, I guess.
Maybe they were trying to do like trying to say workaholic, but without putting the aholic in there because of the connotations. I don't know.
See, that's possible too. I wonder if workaholic is like even something that you can say now or that you can, that's appropriate, you know?
Yeah.
You never know.
Maybe people are taking it a little too far. We'll see.
If anyone can answer is, has overachiever and workaholic, have those both been canceled?
Yeah.
I'm unaware.
Yeah, I don't know either. Let us know. Help us be in the know.
Okay, well, let me read this synopsis for real. Okay, an overscheduled teenager named Jake Armstrong and his two best friends, are accidentally exposed to an experimental chemical and become a team of stretchable superheroes who must work together to expand beyond the confines of their lives and embark on a series of adventures.
One of them's not his best friend, though.
Yeah, that's at least especially not at first. Like, he's just this dude who he doesn't really like. He's just giving him a tour.
Yeah, Ricardo's new to the school, and they don't even like each other, really. So, and it's kind of like Ricardo's fault in the first place that this all happens. We'll talk about why, but yeah.
Yeah. So who were some of the actors who played in this show?
Well, Jake Armstrong, a.k.a. Stretch Armstrong, the titular character there, was voiced by Scott Menville, who anyone that hears this voice recognizes it immediately as Robin from Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go. He's done lots of other things, but I mean, that is the name that is always going to stick in your head, or the character that's going to stick in your head. It's always pleasant to hear his voice because it's like, it doesn't matter how old this guy gets. He's always going to sound like a teenager, no matter what. He's going to be 80 and still have the same voice. It's fantastic. Nathan Park, aka Wingspan, was voiced by Steven Yeun, who was Glenn from The Walking Dead, which is what he's known for the most. But he was also the voice of Keith from Voltron Legendary Defender, and Mark Grayson, aka Invincible in Invincible in Invincible, which is also another great superhero-ish show. But, you know, not for kids. Ricardo Perez, aka Omnimass, was voiced by OG Banks, who is also the voice of Luke Cage and Miles Morales in Ultimate Spider-Man, that cartoon from yesteryear. Jonathan Rook was voiced by Will Wheaton. And so I know him mostly, and I was just thinking about this recently, is like, I actually really don't know Will Wheaton from most of his like actual, his body of work. I really know him for his influence on nerd culture and like him working with Geek and Sundry on shows like Tabletop and things like that. A lot of people would know him as playing Wesley on Star Trek The Next Generation when he was much younger, or also for the same reasons when he was a little kid playing Gordy in the movie Stand By Me. But he's a really talented, really sweet man. Love the guy. Character Malcolm Kane, voiced by Keith David. Amazing voice. He was the voice of Goliath from Gargoyles, Spawn in the Spawn animated series. He's also been in things like Adventure Time, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2017 version, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, The Last Kids on Earth, Final Space, Rick and Morty, Amphibia, tons of stuff. He is no stranger to both live action and animation. The character Rhea Dashti, aka Blind Strike, was voiced by Nazanin Contractor. And yep, I really did look up the pronunciation, and it is Contractor. I was very surprised.
Pronunciation? I like how you said pronunciation.
You know what?
So you mispronounced.
You know what?
Never mind.
Let's leave it. Let's leave it alone and forget.
Okay.
Let's move on with our lives. She was also the voice of Sonara San from Star Wars Resistance. And then Stretch Monster was voiced by Miguel Ferrer, mostly known for his live action roles in shows like Twin Peaks, Crossing Jordan, and NCIS Los Angeles, but he does make voice appearances in shows like The Jackie Chan Adventures, Adventure Time, Young Justice, and Teen Titans The Judas Contract as Deathstroke, aka Slade Wilson. And that is your main cast. Pronunciated.
Stop
Pronunciation.
Stop pronunciating things like that. Yeah. Yes. You pronounced it correctly this time. So here's a few tasty marshmallows out of our big bowl of Stretch Armstrong and the Flex Fighter cereal. It's a long name. Stretch Armstrong is a large gel-filled action figure that was first introduced in 1976 by Kenner. For anybody who doesn't know, and there might be people who actually don't because we have a lot of younger listeners, Stretch Armstrong is a weird toy that was like a blonde surfer-looking dude, but also like a bodybuilder. But his whole thing was you just pulled on his limbs and he could stretch out. Like that's the toy. And it kind of like stuck in place for a minute. So he had like
he's like full of like corn syrup or something. Like
yeah, it's like weird, like melted down corn syrup that was like they purchased a ton of it to test this out and just boiled it down to get this proper like viscosity to it. Mm-hmm. So it stretches and it stays in that form for just a minute and then like goes back to normal. It's pretty cool like for kids, but it's a weird concept to base a show off of.
Did you have one when you were a kid?
Oh, yeah. I had one, and I also had Vac Man, or my brother had Vac Man. Okay. Do you remember Vac Man?
Was that the red one?
Yeah. Here's the red one that came with a pump, or like a reverse pump, basically. So what you did, you set him into whatever position you wanted, and then with this pump, you put it in the side of his head, and you pulled it, so you would like literally take the air out of him, and he would just be like stuck in that form. And when you wanted him to go back, he had a button on the other side of his head. You just push that and it like opens the hole so all the air can come back in and he goes back to normal form. It was pretty cool. It was like a better toy than Stretch Armstrong was.
Yeah. I also had like another character that was a different color. It was another it was like a monster-ish kind of dude, like a nemesis for him, who I don't remember what color he was, but he was also like really like another color, like a bright color. But like he was almost like I mean he was full of the stretchy stuff too, but he also had like little balls inside of him, like that made him like really crackly sounding when you stretched him. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, that was probably one of Vac Man's henchmen because they were similar but they were different colors, and because he also had that like bumpy stuff inside of him.
Okay, yep, and yeah, I had a stretch also. Like I had the one where it was like it was like the all black body and then just the straight up white dude surfer head with the blonde hair. So
did yours have a little t-shirt on him, like an actual cloth little t-shirt?
I think so, yeah. And I just remember losing it at some point. And so it was just the all black body.
So we probably had the 90s figures because the 78 Stretch Armstrong didn't have any like clothes. He just had like the black underwear and then that's it. Like, but he was still the same blonde looking guy, but he didn't have as goofy as a face back then. Mm. And so there was actually an Incredible Hulk figure. You've probably seen it. That was like a Stretch Incredible Hulk. And that was made without permission, so it had to be discontinued the year after, which was So it was made in 1979 and discontinued in 1980 because it was made without their permission. Then there was a Stretch, a Mego Elastic is what they called it, Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, Batman, Incredible Hulk, and Plastic Man. And then Kenner, who did Stretch Armstrong, also had a Stretch Serpent, which is just literally a snake that you could make, I don't know, snakier, I guess. And
make
then
it snakier.
There was some Stretch Octopuses. There was like a male and female version of that. Ollie and something else. And then there was Fetch, which was basically a dachshund that was Stretch Armstrong's dog companion, and Vac Man, like I had mentioned. And so a lot of those were, or at least the newer ones, Vac Man and like Fetch came out in the 90s. And in the 70s, that's where Stretch Armstrong and Stretch Monster actually came out. So Stretch Monster was literally his first villain. And he doesn't look a lot like he does in the show, but he does have this like green tint to him. And I think he has kind of like spiky ears, if I remember correctly.
Okay. I do remember that you supposedly could stretch him up to like 3 feet or something like that.
Supposedly 4 to 5 feet.
Oh, wow. Mine never got that far.
It came with instructions on how to repair him if he fell apart. And literally what you were supposed to do is just like put a Band-Aid on him.
Yeah. We did that.
Guess, I don't know.
Several times. It was the only it was the only toy that literally could be repaired with a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Because we had to do it frequently because, I mean, just imagine me with something like that. I broke it constantly.
Well, when you're a kid and you have a toy that's like, let me try to stretch this beyond its limits, you're going to do everything you can to do that until
oh my gosh,
like you can't anymore.
Yeah.
So I think everybody has a broken Stretch Armstrong somewhere.
Yeah. That thing was, and dude, that's when the stuff leaked out, man, that would get sticky. Oh man.
Yeah.
So sticky, and it got everywhere.
I bet there's in a landfill, there's just a pile of Stretch Armstrongs with like bleeding corn syrup out of them.
Oh man, that would be interesting to see.
And horrendous.
Yeah, big time.
So, lastly, a Stretch Armstrong film was attempted 4 times back since 1994 before the show ended up being created in 2017. So 2 of those attempts were by Disney. One of the Disney ones was going to have Tim Allen in it as a dad who was stretched too thin and ended up, I guess, getting these superpowers. Yeah. Then there was one by Universal Studios. They tried to do it. And then the last one was by Relativity Media. I'm not familiar with that company, but they tried to do the last version of it. And then eventually Netflix bought it and was like, hey, like we'll just, or I guess Kenner has it, and they just like sold the media rights to Netflix to make the show, which is better than what it would have been if it was a Tim Allen movie in the 90s.
Jeez, that is, I can't imagine a Stretch Armstrong movie starring Tim Allen. I mean, I feel like at one point they just, in the 90s, they wanted Tim Allen to be in everything. So, I
mean, I like Tim Allen. It's just like, I'm glad he didn't have to do this because this would have been terrible, I'm sure.
Well, and now I'm starting to wonder, do they have toys for the current cartoon that we watched today? And are those stretchable?
They do. I'm not sure. I think there's versions of them that are like smaller and kind of stretchy in the same way, but I don't know that they're the same like corn syrup kind of stretchy.
Interesting. Okay. I hope they're not the cheap ones that are like you can pull on it and it's just like a string and then it retracts like on the arms.
You know, originally they were going to build Stretch Armstrong with springs, and then they were like, no, that's not going to work because the spring is probably going to just tear through the rubber that he's made out of.
Yeah, it'll just be instant death to whatever child is playing with it too. So.
Yeah, so I'm glad they changed their mind on that.
Yeah, probably for the best.
So let's go ahead and jump into the episodes we watched for today's show. The very first one being Confessions of a Teenage Superhero, Season 1, Episode 1. While taking a break from the rigors of high school life, 3 friends cause a lab accident that results in them gaining incredible superpowers.
Oh, it's so incredible.
Most of them are pretty cool.
Yeah, most of them are cool. One of them is not.
I feel bad for Wingspan.
Wingspan's powers are the most lackluster thing I think I've ever seen.
It's less impressive, yeah.
Yeah. I guess we should talk about the setting for this thing because it's interesting because it's not like our time kind of thing. This is like a futuristic city called Charter City, and everything is kind of controlled by this company called Rook. I don't really want to say controlled. It's just like almost let's picture that Elon Musk, who just bought Twitter, also bought everything else. Like let's say Elon owns Amazon, he owns Apple, he owns Google. And, imagine the kind of world where, he's creating pretty much everything, like he has a monopoly on everything. That is this world. This guy Rook kind of has a monopoly on everything. He's not necessarily a bad dude. He just owns everything.
If you've seen the Superman animated series, this is basically, he's the Lex Luthor to this metropolis.
Yes, but much younger.
Because it has that same kind of futuristic vibe.
But yeah, super, super futuristic kind of city. When it opens, we see them all suited up and they're fighting this big old monster. And then it's like flashback to 2 days earlier. Just a normal morning routine for Jake and Nathan. It doesn't, I mean, they don't say that, but we're seeing both Jake Armstrong and Nathan kind of doing their morning routines and sort of establishing what kind of characters these are, where Jake Armstrong is like, gets up early and has this really strict, rigorous schedule that his father lays out for him. Like like his day is planned minute to minute by his dad, where he's doing calisthenics, he's working out, he's doing homework, he's doing all kinds of stuff, just constant things. Whereas Nathan's just kind of there and he's got to deal with like 8 siblings, you know, in the morning trying to get ready, and he's always late for everything. And
well, his whole morning is spent waiting for his turn to go to the bathroom, basically, to get ready.
And he gets no cereal.
So while Jake is doing all those things, he's just waiting for everything, for his turn.
What's interesting, too, is so they are at like some sort of private school for like smart kids. And like, this always bugs me because I'm like, oh, do these even really exist? This is like the schools that you always see in like Fantastic Four or Spider-Man stuff, where it's like, for whatever reason, they only go to schools that are for like ultra intelligent science kids. And like, it seems like even if you're not ultra intelligent, they're like, all the kids are there. And like the classes are always just like advanced robotics and botany and like nuclear fusion and things like that. And I'm like, what schools are these? These aren't high schools anyway, but that's the kind of school they go to.
Yeah, those do exist. They're called, I don't know what they're called like officially, but they're like gifted and talented schools, private schools of some sort.
I mean, it shows how gifted or talented we were that we didn't go to those. So
I almost went to one.
Are you serious?
I was gifted as a youngin'. Yeah, I was smart.
But gifted to the point where they're like, we need to send him to a Spider-Man school, like that kind of gifted? Or was it like we should just put him in the gifted program with like the preppy kids at our still public school?
No, it would have been to an advanced school, but I didn't want to go because I wanted to stay with my friends who I had in elementary school, whom I no longer speak with or even remember. So that was probably not the best idea, but you know, here we are.
I had the exact opposite experience where they tried to place me in the gifted program and my parents were like, no, he can't, he can't swing that. So my parents opted to take me out of it.
Wow.
Oh man.
That's
Talk
funny.
about a low blow real early on in my life.
Yeah. They set your expectations right there.
Yeah, they set that bar real low. So
I mean, maybe it would have just been real expensive. I don't know.
Could have been.
But anyway, yeah. So Ricardo comes into the picture eventually. He's new. He is late to his very first day of class. And Jake is the one who I don't remember if he volunteered or was voluntold to give him a tour.
Voluntold. Yeah, it was a voluntold situation.
Okay, yeah, so he has to give him a tour of the campus, so they don't know each other at all, and he's doing his best, but Ricardo is just more of a party guy, so he's not really paying attention and just trying to, I guess he's just probably has like ADHD or something. He's just constantly distracted by, I don't know, everything else.
Yeah, we've got 3 kind of archetypes here. We've got Jake, who is very much like, he's kind of the Boy Scout, like we said, the overachiever, the leader. He's, you know, the one that's doing everything and leading the pack and trying to do everything by the book as much as he can. And then there's Nathan, who is kind of just trying to get by and stay under the radar, does not want to be center of attention, high anxiety, and just kind of follows Jake's lead. And then you've got Ricardo, who is big, loud, just wants to have a good time, does not want to take anything seriously, and is very self-confident within his own skin and his own capabilities or lack thereof. So
yeah, you've got Jake as the A+ student. Nathan, I think, was a B+ student, and then with Ricardo, the teacher, was just like, I don't know how you got into this school, basically. They don't actually say what his grades were, but you can assume not good.
D+.
Yeah.
So there's a side story going on too with this. We're seeing like a storage facility storing all these like big vats of chemicals at a Rook. It's like a Rook warehouse. And we see a little bit of like a spill with one, and it's almost like basically a little flubber starts bouncing around. That's where we get introduced to this character of Kane, who is sort of like a Malcolm Kane's kind of like a head of security / also head of operations kind of guy. Like he's the one that's ensuring everything is going correctly and smoothly, and he's very no nonsense. And he's kind of like telling this dude who's in charge of this thing, like, you need to get your crap together and make sure all this stuff is done right. And this guy who is working the storage facility is just super overwhelmed and is just like, this is impossible for me to handle this much work at once. Like, what is Rook doing to me? Like, I can't handle this on my own. That'll be very important. Both what's happening and his disdain for Rook. So, there's that.
So to make a long story short here, what ends up happening is the three of them, Jake, Nathan, and Ricardo, are assigned to do a project together, and Jake, wanting to be on top of everything, like immediately, like, does he invite them over to his place?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they all get together, and he's trying to get that like essay or whatever it is pushed out like that night, or get something done at least that night. But this is where Ricardo's like, dude, you got to have a little fun. Like, we need to go do something fun, like parkour.
Parkour break.
Yeah. Okay, for me, this was kind of a suspension. Yeah. Well, it was Jake's, but he didn't know what parkour was, though.
Well, no, I think it was.
What's his face?
Ricardo didn't know what it was, and Nathan was just like, please no, let's not do this.
Yeah, Ricardo didn't know what it was. Yeah, but so they end up going and doing parkour, literally, but on top of the chemical factory for some reason is where they end up.
Yeah.
Oh, so I'll talk about this part later and the problems that I have with the origin. But anyway, they end up crashing through the building, like the top of it, and falling onto the stack of chemicals that were brought in. And they get the Flexarium poured all over them. And that's how they gain their powers. Like, that's it. They were just parkouring like teenagers do on rooftops.
Okay, so that is the dumbest reason ever.
Yes.
For like them to get these powers, to even leave the apartment to go do parkour. Like, did someone? I just want to know, in the meeting room when they were like, okay, so what do teenagers do these days? That is like, what mischief would they get into? I don't know. My kid likes watching those parkour videos on YouTube. That's it, Robert. Parkour. All kids love parkour. They're always doing parkour on top of chemical plants. We got to put that in. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah. That's why, the fact that was in there, I was like, why was this their origin? It was going so well, and then they throw a chemical plant rooftop parkour at us out of nowhere.
Love it.
And so that is the strangest origin. We get past it, and they try to leave the scene, or they do leave the scene, but then they run into, at a certain point, a giant monster who is the employee that was talking earlier about being overworked. Like, he's now transformed into this giant monster because when they were doing inspections of the factory after the fact, he breathed in some of the chemical gas. So I guess that reacts with them differently than getting it poured on them does. And that turned him into this giant kaiju monster that still just had disdain for Jonathan Rook, because he still was like, you overworked me and this is what I turned into.
I gotta say, like, they did some major body horror with that character, though. Like, he was this gigantic, rocky, I don't know, creature with his face split open. And it was gross, dude. Like, I was actually really surprised they went there, that like a human turned into that thing. That kind of surprised me, really, because I was just like, oh man, that's actually kind of gross. Didn't expect them to go there.
I was curious though, because do you remember from the very beginning when they're fighting that monster in the intro, they all have their suits on, but then when they're fighting them here, they just have like these makeshift suits that they put together real quick on. And at the end of that episode, all that happened was like they seemingly defeated him, but then he split into two parts. So I'm wondering if if in the second episode or something, like they get their suits somehow and then he reforms and they fight the full one again. It just seemed like a disconnect to me.
Yeah. My guess is that if we would have watched the second episode, it would have tied that back together. But yeah, they did accidentally cut the guy in half. And then but he formed into two monsters and then ran off. And they also and this was interesting too. Rook came out in a helicopter and tried to appeal to the guy and, just be like, hey, I want to help you. Like, we can get you help. We can change this. And he's like, no, Rook bad. Roar. But so Stretch and the others had to save Rook, the pilot of his helicopter, and everyone below the helicopter. And they did well. They fought well. This is one thing that was really interesting. I think that the animation with the fight scenes were actually really good. I was kind of surprised. I liked them.
I like the way that they utilize their stretchy abilities. Yeah, in a combined fashion. It's not just all of them doing it alone. They're working as a team in pretty interesting ways.
I did want to talk about their three powers too. So Stretch is very, I say Stretch, Jake, aka Stretch. He is very Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards. But I've always felt like Reed Richards never, at least, I don't know, any comic and stuff like that or show that I've watched, I don't think they've ever utilized his abilities really well. Like, it's always seemed really hokey and stupid to me, which I think is why in a lot of comics, he's usually not even using his powers that much. They usually just use him for his mind, at least in like the last couple decades, he rarely uses his powers. He's usually just doing sciencey things because his powers are usually really stupid the way that they do use it. But they did a really good job here, and that was really interesting. We said that Omnimass, aka Ricardo, was very much like Ms. Marvel from the comics, Kamala Khan, and where it's like it would just be his extremities that would stretch and grow larger in mass. So like his legs and feet or his hands and arms, like all of a sudden he can make like a giant fist and punch something out of the air or something.
His head too. Like he tried to headbutt somebody with a giant head at one point.
Yeah. So he doesn't like stretch like his whole body. It's like doing that kind of thing. But where we run into the issue is Nathan, Wingspan. His power is really, it's dumb.
His power is flying squirrel, basically. He can flatten his body out to the point where he can like fly, sort of like spread his like arms out and fly. Like that's his power. He's not any more powerful than normal other than that. But I mean, they utilize him a lot like a dart, I guess. So in that way, he's helpful, but he needs assistance to be of use most of the time, unless he's just swooping down and saving people. He's good at that, but that's about it.
Yeah, he's he does catch people a lot, and he helps the others set up doing maneuvers and things like that, but otherwise he doesn't have a whole lot to do except float.
And I'm hoping that, like we had spoken about earlier, like since everybody's kind of getting their time in the spotlight, that we actually do get to see more utilization of what he can actually do. But what we did see, it didn't seem like much.
No, not at all. I feel like out of what they could have done, maybe they missed the mark with his power.
Yeah, I don't know how they could have made it better. Maybe if they made him like be able to like decompress to like razor thin so he could kind of slice through things or be stealthy and like sneak between things or something. I don't know.
Slip through cracks.
Something like that. But he can just fly as far as I know.
It's more like glide,
Well, true. Yeah, he's not like fluttering.
I don't know if he can really fly if there's no wind present or something.
Right. Like, can he go up or can he just dive downward? Because
it's not like he's flapping anything. He just kind of floats.
Yeah. I have questions.
It would be really creepy if he was flapping. I don't think I'd like to see that.
That'd be a little strange, unless
Yeah.
he could like form his own type of wings or something. But doesn't seem to be the case, at least not yet. But the second episode we watched for today's show was Crisis at the Cleo, season 1, episode 10. This was chosen by Gamersly Ratchet, so thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
When the mysterious tech men take the museum hostage, Stretch and the Flex Fighters must find a way to stop them without revealing their identities. This is a classic setup because like the team goes on a field trip with their school to the museum. The museum is taken hostage by this like terrorist group organization, I guess. We're not really sure who they are exactly, called the Tech Men. And a lot of the episode is spent with Jake and the other two, Nathan and Ricardo, trying to find a way to distract everyone so that they can suit up so that they can try to save the day.
Yeah, so the tech men are after something in this museum called Prolotite. The person giving the museum tour, like, maybe you should change your verbiage because that's probably how the tech men found out. You're just asking to get robbed. I mean, that was the lead on, of course, as she's giving the tour. I'm like, okay, so there's going to be some sort of heist going on. And that's exactly what happened. So that happens. There's hostage situation. All the kids from the school that are there are being held hostage by the tech men. Like you said, the others are trying to find a way to cause a distraction so they can sneak off, suit up, address the situation. What was fun about this, and I think... I think there's a few reasons why this is probably, this might have been picked. But one thing that was fun is there's a lot of references to other properties in this with all the robots. Because one of the exhibits, in fact, the exhibit where most of the action goes down is this like robot exhibit. And within it, you see this giant Bumblebee from Transformers Animated is in there. The robot from, or like an homage to the robot from Lost in Space.
Lost in Space. Yep.
What else? There was another robot that it doesn't look like a Dalek, but it says eliminate, kind of like exterminate from like the Daleks from Doctor Who. So there was a whole lot of cameos and like nods and things like that in this episode that were just really fun to watch. I liked that. That was cool.
Yeah, a lot of fun Robo references. And that's the first thing I thought when I saw that big yellow one. I was like, oh, dude, that's totally Bumblebee. But I did not expect them to come to life by some weird... So I guess, so what's happening is like the electricity... How did it happen exactly? Because I remember like they pushed this alarm button or something.
It's the most convoluted thing. So... Jake decided, okay, well, one of us can get away if we cause a scene. So he starts a fake fight with Ricardo because the thing is, leading up to this episode, from context clues, you can tell that the three friends are not getting along the best. They've had some issues going on. Specifically, I think maybe some girl issues. So Jake starts a fake fight with Ricardo. They start arguing, knowing that they're faking it. Nathan doesn't figure that out. And then Ricardo says something to Nathan, thinking that Nathan's in on the gag for the distraction. Nathan doesn't figure it out, and they actually start fighting. And Ricardo and Nathan like are shoving each other, and Nathan falls against a switch and breaks something, and electricity shoots up the wall and starts turning on all these robots that come to life and just start like ransacking everything and attacking everybody. So Jake uses that time to be like, well, that's a distraction. Then, jumps away.
I think he hits like an alarm or something. And then one of the tech men shoots an electric gun at the button to turn it off. And that's what causes this surge that brings all these robots to life. That makes it like, I was not expecting a giant robot fight in this thing involving the tech men. And yet here we are. So that's like obviously a huge distraction, gives them the chance to go and suit up. And it's fun because a lot of the students are fighting off the robots too. We get to see the Bumblebee one transform, but he doesn't transform into a car like it looks like he's going to. He transforms into like some weird small robot that starts dancing around.
You just thought he would do something cool, like, like the real Transformer, but then it becomes something really stupid. We're like, oh. And who's this random super strong kid that punched through a robot? Did you catch that?
Oh, yeah.
What the heck, man?
Their teacher like ripped the wires out of one of the robot's legs to save a student. This teacher's like an older man too, so that was pretty cool.
All the students and this old man are all superheroes apparently.
Everybody can fight. Yeah.
Also, so eventually the others are able to get away and suit up as well to help fight the tech men. But also this character Blind Strike shows up, and Blind Strike is someone...
A tech ninja.
A tech ninja. It's someone that the others don't know this person's identity or allegiance, but they do think that they think of Blind Strike as kind of a villain. They're not sure what Blind Strike's motives are other than they don't trust Blind Strike at all. And they think that Blind Strike is probably with the tech, I forgot their names already, those people.
The tech men,
but starts actually fighting against them. But the problem is the prototype starts getting damaged in the process, which is not great. Then on top of that, Stretch Monster shows up looking like the creature from the Black Lagoon, just with more muscles. So it's like everybody is showing up inside of this building. It's like, what is happening?
Yeah, so that prototype's a big deal since we know now that it can be used as an explosive weapon, apparently, according to the tour guide.
Yeah.
So everyone's after it. The Stretch Monster comes in, who I was referring to earlier, and he's this big green finned dude who has the same sort of stretch abilities as Stretch Armstrong. And then there's also on the outside, the Rook team is trying to get into this building, but it is blocked by some sort of energy field that they can't seem to pierce through. So Kane is out there trying all kinds of different weapons and stuff to try to break through this field while everything else is going on. So there's a lot happening on like 3 or 4 different fronts. So all just trying to A, prevent the prototype from exploding, and B, just to keep it in the hands of good, I guess.
And one thing that I did notice in this, because I don't know if it's been revealed at this point to, let's say, all the viewers and stuff like that, but we know that Blind Strike is actually their classmate Rhea. Like we know that.
We don't know that until like at least the next episode for us, but I don't know when it's actually revealed in the series.
Exactly. However, but because like I'd looked at the cast information and knew that Blind Strike and Rhea were the same character, I found a mistake in this episode where while Blind Strike is already, there fighting suited up, towards the end when they're evacuating the kids, like the thing comes down, the force field and stuff, and Stretch and his team go to try to, shoo everybody out. There's like a real quick, it's not really animated. It's almost like a still frame of like all the kids kind of in the background as it like pans across the field of vision. And Rhea's in it, even though Blind Strike is there fighting. So I was like, oop, they goofed that one. So I think what they did is they reused some footage and kind of biffed it.
Probably, but that's like the ultimate mislead then, because it's like, well, it can't be Rhea. She's there.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just like, interesting.
Yeah, I didn't notice it since I didn't know who it was at the time anyway. So I was just like, well, who knows?
Yeah, but yeah, there you go. So what was interesting too is, of course, Day gets saved. They do save the prototype for a little bit. Stretch Monster gets away. Blind Strike goes somewhere. The tech men get away, except for one that they captured, and I'm pretty sure is dying. And when the Flex Fighters and Kane from Rook's group, because the Flex Fighters are working for Rook, which is interesting. This guy they captured says that something big is coming, and only Stretch would be able to save them. And I thought that was really interesting. And I was just kind of like, I wonder what that means. So that makes me wonder things about the next episode. While that happens, though, somebody does steal the prototype. So, ta-da.
Yeah. And we can assume at this point that it is Blind Strike because she's the only one that they know of that has a Flexarium blade, which is all that could cut through that protective glass. Yeah. So, but we're not sure and I still don't know because I didn't watch the follow-up episode to this or whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, the tech man just like, this is bigger than you realize. Only you can save Charter City now. And he's just like specifically saying like, only you, like to Stretch. So, but we don't know like what the deal is or like why only he can save it.
Who knows?
I did like this one line from this episode where when Kane gets in and meets with Stretch, he's like, brief me now. And Stretch starts saying like, these guys are called the Tech Man and they aren't super nice. And he's like, I said brief. And so he has to summarize it down to like, okay, 2 totally different kinds of bad guys want a bomb. And he's like, okay, great.
Yeah.
So I just like that he made him break it down to him as briefly as possible. Yeah, that was good. So the last episode we watched for today's show was The Age of Flexarium, season 1, episode 13, which was the final episode of the first season and the highest rated one. With Stretch Monster's sinister plan finally revealed, Stretch and the Flex Fighters must stop his Flexarium army from taking over the world.
Yeah, so this one starts off real, like, I mean, stuff's already going down. The 3 Flex Fighters are in the lair here of Stretch Monster. Blind Strike is there and knocked out, it looks like. And Stretch Monster's just like, hey, you know what? Thank you. I've been studying you guys and how the Flexarium affected your bodies. I made an army. And all these blue goopy bad guys show up that can do all the things that they can do. And they combine and start growing into gigantic blue goopy guys and just start beating the crap out of the Flex Fighters. And it was interesting. Like, it was kind of like everything hit the fan real fast in this episode. And that was really fun to jump into and just see action right away. Blind Strike's helping them, like fighting with them when she comes to. But then she books it at one point and they follow her out. Like, they're just like, all right, I guess she's leaving. I guess she knows something we don't. We got to get out of here. Yeah. So they all get out of there and they remember that. So there's another secret lab and they do make a joke about, I'm so tired of all these secret labs. Like, I've had my fill of secret labs, which is funny because that's such a trope in shows like this. Yeah. Just secret labs everywhere. There is a gun that this person, Dr. C, had that can basically remove the Flexarium from something. I don't know if it like vaporizes it or what. So they head across town to that lab to get that thing to target the now giant blue goo creatures. And they're using it while trying to fight these things, but it is futile because there's too many. They're too big. They're destroying the city. So whatever makes this thing work, Jake pulls it out and leaves the other 2, and he's going to set it off as like a bomb, like manually to hit everybody in the center of the city, like all of these things.
Yeah.
Which I was like, holy crap.
The timer broke, so he had to do it manually. So he literally like launched his other 2 friends as far away as he could. And so that he would... I don't know if it was like sacrifice himself or just sacrifice his powers. They weren't real clear there. They're pretty touchy about saying like death or anything. So yeah, he was just going to sacrifice his powers at this point. And this bomb, this chemical bomb or whatever, is harmless to humans. It will only affect like Flexarium. And since those creatures are like purely Flexarium, just about, like, those will be essentially destroyed.
Mm-hmm. And he does it, but before it's able to really eliminate his powers, his buddies swooped in, grabbed him, flew him out really fast. But it did work on all the creatures, which was great. And it was weird because this was like middle of the episode and like the day was saved. And I was like, well, that was weird. I guess we're just going to get a whole lot of revelations and like, touching stories or something. But no, they go for celebratory snow cones over at Rook. Who invites them over. Bad snow cones. Real bad snow cones. I'm never going to look at a snow cone the same again.
Pomegranate and mint, which sounds good, and they looked pretty good.
It looked good.
But they were poisoned.
They're bad. It's poison. He poisoned them all.
What I thought he was going to do was poison them with that anti-Flexarium and, like, remove their powers. I was like, dang, that would have been, like, real bad. But no, I guess it was just regular poison.
Well, yeah, instead he was like, I'll just kill him.
Yeah.
Turns out Rook is a Stretch Monster. I mean, I think we all saw it coming. We all saw the Norman Osborn thing going on. He's somewhat of a scientist himself. We saw it.
I figured it was either going to be him or have something to do with Jake's dad. I still feel like Jake's dad isn't off the hook for me yet, because I know he works with that factory or something.
Yeah, he works for Rook. He's like a higher up there, which is why his dad does not like the Flex Fighters. So he poisons all three of them. Jake, and then he's going to kill them because they're weakened. So he's going to shoot them after they're poisoned. Classic move. Jake flings the other two out a window before Stretch Monster can shoot them. And then he's about to shoot Jake, but from what we can tell, Blind Strike intervenes, shows up, saves him, gets them all to Dr. C's lab. And Dr. C, this person, which I think is actually Cleo, Dr. Cleo, that museum must have been named after her. She's still alive. Everyone thought they were dead. And they're kind of recuperating there. They've been given like an anti-poison. What is that called?
Antidote?
Antidote. There we go. That word. And they're finding out that they are now taking the blame for creating that army that attacked the city. Rook did this like whole statement on the news saying that the Flex Fighters turned on them, that they had been, doing stuff behind his back the whole time. They've been to blame for all the things that have happened to the city, and now everybody hates them. The end.
Basically, and they kind of are just like, well, the other two are just like, well, I guess, it's been fun while it lasted. Time to turn in the suits, I guess. And then Jake's like, no, like if we're going to be superheroes, we have to actually be heroes with or without a corporate sponsor. Yeah. And so that's kind of where it closes out, is them kind of having the resolve to continue trying to save Charter City, especially now that they know Rook is the stretch monster.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Chris, looks like it's about time we send our kids to Charter City to hang out with the Flex Fighters and maybe see if they can get some of those delicious sounding pomegranate and mint snow cones, hold the poison, then see what they thought of the show, Stretch Armstrong and the Flex Fighters.
I thought this cartoon might be a silly superhero show, but for babies. But it actually was pretty fun, and sometimes it makes your body hurt to watch it. Wait a minute. Isn't this story just Spider-Man?
This show was cooler than I expected. Teenage superheroes empowered by a weird bouncy chemical who also fight combining kaiju monsters mutated by that same bouncerific chemical? Sign me up! But can we make my origin story better than failing at factory parkour? That was a bit of a stretch.
Oh, gosh. Nice job. Nice job sneaking that in.
But I agree, though. I agree with me.
Yeah, it was a stretch. What were some of the things that you liked about this show?
Since I am a big fan of the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon, which the developers of this also worked on, I definitely enjoyed the very similar animation, but I actually really liked the character design in the show as well. Like, the costumes were pretty cool, although if they were really trying to hide their secret identities, I think that they would just cover their very distinct hair, but that's never seems to be a thing with superheroes. Like, even if they have like the brightest, most unique hair, they will never cover it unless you're smart like Spider-Man. So everyone should take a cue from Spider-Man, just cover everything. So there's no chance of anyone discovering you, but whatever. Like, that's a nitpick.
Yeah, cover it all up.
But I think the primary three protagonists all had very distinct personalities, which I appreciated, which helped set them apart from one another. And it also felt, like we were talking about earlier, balanced. So even though Stretch was the titular character, the other two still felt important to the plot and not just like stand-ins or sidekicks. And plus, like, you can never really go wrong with tech ninjas like Snake Eyes, so I really dug Blind Strike.
Yeah, I liked all those characters too. Like, each one of them was really cool. I also really liked the character of Malcolm Caine, which was surprising to me. Like, I thought he was going to be kind of like a constant thorn in the side, sort of like, him again sort of character, but I really appreciated him and just thought he was I like the dynamic between him and the Flex Force and all that. But I agree with you on everything else. I think the animation looked solid. The designs were great. The costumes, they were fantastic. Really colorful, which I liked. And you know what? I know we touched on it before, but the use of their powers were really good for Jake and Ricardo. I mean, we already said they did a real bad job with Nathan's. That wasn't great. But, I mean, even though his power standalone sucked, as a team, it was fantastic. Like the three of them together, like the animation and the planning for how those three powers were used together was so tight and spot on. Like I was very surprised with how much I enjoyed the fight scenes in this show. It was way better than most superhero shows you see out there. So I have to give the show a lot of accolades for that.
Yeah, because they were actually utilizing the powers that they have as best they could. And I guess the way that we can look at Nathan is like he's very much a support character.
Yes.
There are a lot of things that maybe they couldn't have done without him, but he could not ever be really a solo act because he just doesn't have much outside of, I don't even know if he has like enhanced strength or anything. Like with Angel from the X-Men, I think he has like enhanced strength or to some degree. And that is why he can still, even like when he's not Archangel, he can still like stand on his own. He can still do his own thing. So I don't know what kind of boon they've given Nathan to make him more than just the floaty guy, the flying squirrel of the team. But I hope something.
Yep, I agree with that. I just feel like they did him wrong. And like when you compare him to the other two, it's like, man, Nathan got done real wrong. But he's still like, his personality's still fun. He's still a really interesting character.
Yeah.
And yeah, the three of them together is super fun. I really enjoy those three. And also seeing Blind Strike with them. I think there is the second season. I hope that there's more of the four of them together, so we can get some banter with her along with the other three. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, because she's been like a silent protagonist or silent like anti-hero up until this point in our eyes. Also, I wanted to comment on them doing a decent job of reimagining the source material and actually making it into something that's interesting.
Yeah.
The original Stretch Armstrong idea is like, it's nothing. It's just a stretchy dude. Like he has like no origin as far as I know. He's just this blonde, stretchy dude. So for them to actually make something out of that and make it a compelling story, I applaud them for that, for making something that I would actually be interested in continuing to watch, as opposed to, the Tim Allen Stretch Armstrong movie that was planned before.
That thankfully didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So reusing the original villain and Stretch Monster was a nice touch too, as well as giving us that nice nod to the 1970s toy line. And I'm not sure if they actually do, but I'm hoping to see some other call outs to the 70s or even 90s toy lines where like if Vac-Man showed up in some form or even Stretch's dog Fetch, like that'd be so cool. I'd be like,
gosh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. it would be fun, at least for like one episode, to have a stretchy dog,
Even if it's like just a background character, like it's in like the testing labs or something, you just see this dog in the background stretching around. It's like, oh, it's Fetch. Yeah. Yep, that's all I need.
So let's get into dislikes. And I think there's we've talked about one pretty glaring one, which is how they got the powers. That was really stupid.
Right. It was kind of a bumpy start for me because while I do now like the story overall, even though it's a little predictable, like the direction the series was heading, the beginning just felt so weak in comparison because of that like really forced origin. I get that like setting Jake up, who's the overachiever, to have fun for a change, that's a fine setup. And the weird blue rubbery goo, the Flexarium, that's fine. I can still get behind that. But when you tack on parkouring on top of that chemical factory in the middle of the night for fun, it just feels too big of a logic leap to set up the origin story when they could have done so many other things. Like they could have been like maybe the docks where the factory is located is like the best place to skateboard or something because there's like some great like ramp type thing set up. So they go and do that, and maybe a skateboard like crashes through the window and knocks over some stacked up Flexarium, because we saw earlier that they had just kind of haphazardly placed it in this already overstuffed factory. So I think that could have been like a chain of event type thing where it hit one canister and the rest of them kind of toppled over, broke through the side of the factory or broke through the door and spilled on them. And that would have made more sense as far as like blue rubbery goo spilling on someone and giving them power goes.
Yeah. It was weird in the fact that, and I like that you said this too, because you said it was kind of a leap, or like a leap of logic in a show where, as weird as the show is, within like the rules established by the show itself. It doesn't really make any other leaps like that. So that's, I think, why this one stands out so much, because it just seemed very out of nowhere. It didn't seem to fit any of the characters. It didn't seem to fit the situation. It just felt really like spontaneously thrown in there, where I think the rest of the show does a really good job of following a logical thought process within the realm of how this specific world and show functions. You know, it sticks to a set of ideals. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. That's totally the way I saw it too. So that's why it just felt so out of place right there. Especially, like, it had me worried because I was like, oh man, if they're making this logic leap this early, how's the rest of the show going to be? But then I was like pleasantly surprised by the rest of it. So it's just a weird, glaring oversight, it feels like.
Yeah. The only other dislike that I have to bring up, and when I say dislike, I don't mean that I'm like, oh man, I really dislike this. It's more of just like I don't know. It's not so much a dislike as it's an observation that it took a little bit of the fun out of the show, but I still enjoyed a lot of it. And that is that the show is so much like the story of Spider-Man. There are so many comparisons to Spider-Man as far as, you know, I've already said it, as far as like the kind of school that they go to. So there are a lot of characters and tropes that align exactly the same way. A lot of villain reveals are exactly the same. Like Rook is totally no different than, you know, like Green Goblin, like how that plays out. It's totally the same sort of thing. So it made things really formulaic and predictable. It doesn't really set out and do too much new stuff. That said, it's still a really fun time, because if you like those kind of shows, then it's kind of right up your alley. But like I said, my gripe is that it follows so closely to something else that, I mean, you can sort of see the footprints already as you're watching it, so you kind of know where everything's going to go.
Yeah, I agree with you there for sure. So what then would you give this show overall?
Well, I mean, with all those things said, like, I mean, I still think it harkens back to what I enjoy about other teen superhero shows that come before it, like Spider-Man stuff, like X-Men Evolution. It's still a really fun time. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it does have a nicely developing overarching story in the background that still has some stakes to it without it getting, you know, like I said, without it taking itself too seriously. So all in all, I gave this show 4.5 bowls of super blue goo cereal out of 5.
Yeah, while I don't feel like it had the strongest start, and it doesn't really stand out much among other similar teen superhero shows, like you were saying, I did enjoy some of what the series did offer up. And also, I'm at least curious about the second season, which I've heard gets even better. So overall, I'd give Stretch Armstrong and the Flex Fighters 4.5 big bowls of Flexarium flake cereal out of 5. And think it's worth giving a shot if you're caught up on all your other superhero shows and are just looking for a light snack to tide you over.
Yeah, I honestly do want to see more of it, or at least get caught up to just know where the story goes. Because it is gripping in a way, as weird as that is, and as formulaic as the show is. I'm still intrigued to know how the characters handle the situation that they are now put in, and what the resolution is going to be.
What would be even better is if like the rug got pulled out from under us at some point. Like if we think we know where it's going, but then it surprises us, that would like turn this to a straight 5 for me, or at least a 4.75.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, overall, super good. I absolutely recommend it if you're interested in it. Please check it out.
So thank you, Gamer Sly Ratchet 1 and hghgbfblr for the suggestion. We were very pleasantly surprised, sounds like.
Yes, thank you so much for doing that. And also thank you to Gamer Sly Ratchet for choosing an episode for us. Really appreciate that when those that like the show or suggest the show do suggest an episode with it, so we know like what are some of the things that you like about it. And I think that episode definitely gave us a little bit of flavor for what you like out of this thing. So Thank you so much.
Yeah, and some of the fun the show was willing to have, like throwing random Transformer battles in here. Like I didn't expect that, and yeah, that was fun.
Yes.
Well, listeners, it looks like our milk supply is now run dry, so it's time for us to say goodbye. And next week, we'll be watching
Rayman, the animated series, suggested by Max via Facebook.
Oh, I didn't know it had a cartoon.
Yeah. This comes from the bottom of the list.
Oh, boy.
Prepare yourself.
I hope it's not that bad.
Prepare yourself.
I wonder if it has the Rabbids in it, too.
I don't know.
Like, at least aside things. I don't know too much about Rayman, aside from that the Rabbids are there. I've never played a Rayman game, I'll be honest.
I have not either. I know nothing about Rayman other than what he looks like and some of the music from the games. That's all I know.
Yeah, so we'll be going into this completely fresh. We'll give you a very honest review, and I'm hoping it's not as bad as it sounds like it might be.
You never know.
Yeah, but once again, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
So we'll see you next Saturday.
Presented by NerdSloth,
a place for lazy nerds.
If you like what you heard, consider donating at patreon.com/nerdsloth so we can continue bringing you quality shows. Be sure to also leave us a review and share your favorite episodes and clips on social media. If you're looking for more content, visit us at nerdsloth.com.